they've actually started to realise that there's a wealth of interesting information inside an education establishment. So if you're a parent and you've got students in the school, you may well have left your bank details so that they can pay for school meals and that kind of thing. If there's some international trips involved, there might be passport scans, there might be teachers' driving licence scans, all that sort of thing. And then you've got all that sensitive information around things like special educational needs. So there's a lot of information there, and the cyber criminals have really cottoned onto that. The other thing that we consistently see is the cyber criminals are motivated by return on investment. So they look at their potential victims, they work out which are the ones that will require typically less effort to penetrate. And unfortunately, it is a reality that education is a sector that's typically underfunded, maybe doesn't have access to the latest and greatest set of tools, for example, to protect themselves. So you've got this combination of interesting data and relatively weak defences in the sector that means that education now is a really popular sector, unfortunately.
Are you able to shed a little bit of light on some of the common exploit vectors that they're attacking in education?
So yes, absolutely. So the attack approaches that the cybercriminals are taking in education is pretty much the same consistently across the board with other sectors as well. And it's a combination of technology issues and also human factors as well. So when we look specifically at education, we find that in the higher percentage of cases, it's actually things like vulnerabilities that are being exploited. So again, this is looking at education and looking at them being under-resourced and not being able to do some of the simple security measures like patching successfully, for example. And then you also see within education as well that the next most popular attack vector is typically compromised credentials. So this is looking at the human element and unfortunately having our victims either social engineered or having their credentials stolen in some other method that means then the cyber criminals are then using those credentials to infiltrate the network and carry out their nefarious deeds.
So one of the natural conversations we find flows when we're talking to education is around good, solid cybersecurity hygiene, whether that's mapping themselves against the NCSC's 5 steps of against ransomware, right? We help a lot of organizations just say, right, compromised credentials, have you got a good solid identity and access strategy? Mm-hmm. You're struggling with vulnerabilities, are you sure that you're even got great visibility of vulnerabilities across the organization? So our CTM portfolio. What we see a lot of concern around is when this event happens, they want confidence that they've got someone who can help them in their hour of need quickly. Do you want to talk a little bit around how you're helping with the MDR services? And I think particularly what I think a lot of our clients will find interesting is some of the average response times that you've got as well.
The first is really the human-led threat hunting side of things. So this is where we will augment an organisation's existing skills, if they have any, around looking for those telltale signs the organisation is under attack. So we effectively form an extra set of eyes looking over the organisation. And our mean time to respond when we see some kind of suspicious event is typically 38 minutes through to us actually remediating and solving and resolving the issue. And it gives a lot of administrators a peace of mind. They don't have to constantly be looking at telemetry. They're not constantly firefighting, which, to your point about strategy, means potentially they can use some of that time to effectively start planning, strategizing, looking at things like patching that maybe at the moment it gets put to the back burner because there's just too many other things going on. And then in terms of actually if an incident does occur, then we've also got the rapid response service as well, which on certain tiers of MDR is actually included or it's available as a standalone service. And this is essentially when an organisation experiences some kind of cyber incident, then our team in the rapid response desk will then start rolling out Sophos agents, pulling out the telemetry, working out what's going on, kicking the bad guys out of the estate and returning the customer in the best possible state at the end of an incident. So we're there both proactively to detect issues and also there on demand to respond to an incident if it does occur.
So how I would sum that up then is for an education organisation that's looking to make preventative improvements, we help them a lot around, achieving the guidance from the NCSC, for example, or if they want to go a step further into things like good cybersecurity practice like Cyber Essentials Plus, we're helping a lot of education make themselves harder targets. Mm-hmm. And where I see the application of the Sophos MDR is very much it's a Saturday night, it's 12 o'clock, and a ransomware attack has happened in a school, having the peace of mind that within 38 minutes, not only do you have someone assigned, but the average ransomware is contained by the time everyone gets back to school on Monday, gives them absolute peace of mind. And I think it's probably an area where we're helping quite a lot of education clients is going through two sides of the coin, we call it. So one side of the coin is, well, how can we help those organizations in education to become harder targets? How do we help them become harder to hit, harder to attack, slow the adversaries down? And then on the other side, when it does happen, how do you have some level of confidence that you've got someone who can find that and respond to that breach or that attack really quickly? So we've been positioning those two things as our exposure management services from Trustmarque alongside Sophos's MDR services.